Hello, Bio 4. We're going to go over the last section of the reproductive system, and what I want you to do is have the list of bulleted terms that you need to know in front of you, and that way we can go down them systematically. So we're going to start out with the female reproductive system, and we're going to locate the external genitalia. So let's go to that first. So the first thing we want to look at on your list is mons pubis, labia majora, and labia minora. So in this diagram, we have this whole region is mons pubis, and then labia majora, which is outer tissue here, and then the inner tissue is the labia minora. Okay, what continues on then would be, we're going to look at the uterus, and on the uterus you want to see the fundus, the body, and the cervix. So this is a diagram of the uterus, and this region here would be the fundus. This main region is the body, and then this opening to the vagina is the cervix. Okay, fundus, body, and cervix. Then we're going to move on to the ovary. So the ovary is going to be here, just beyond that. Let's see on my next slide. So there we go, the uterus again. And so this is continuing on fallopian tube here into the ovary. Next diagram is much more detailed, nicer. So really visible is the ovary here with its developing little egg that's developing, that's going to be ovulated. So in this diagram, we can see, as I'm trying to stay on the order here. So we have vagina, just beyond the cervix. The ovarian ligament, might need ligament of the ovary here. So this is the ovarian ligament, or here. The fimbri. So the fimbri are these little finger-like projections that are coming off the fallopian tube. But we've got lots of names relative to the fallopian tube. So the actual finger-like projections are the fimbri. And the infundibulum is this last section that's feeding into the fimbri here that's going to captivate that ovulated egg. And then the uterine tube is what's left over, more commonly known as the fallopian tube. We're going to call it the uterine tube here. So uterine tube, infundibulum, and fimbri, and ovary. And I think that is all that you have. Now let's look at it in the cadaver. So here, what you'd be able to see then, for example, fimbri. You'd be able to see infundibulum, this little area, and then the fimbri, the uterus, or the fundus. This top part would be the fundus, and here would be the bladder. And I think I've labeled some more for you. So in these diagrams are from your A&P Revealed. So the fimbri are highlighted for you. The uterine tube is the whole thing containing the fimbri, or the fallopian tube, either way. And then the ovary just beyond those. It's pretty small, the ovary. And that's all you needed to know from the female reproductive system. So be sure to go over those again and know how to recognize them, even if it's on a different diagram, right? Because the exam might be on a different diagram. Okay, we'll move on then to the male reproductive system. And again, if you have your list in front, we start out with a scrotum. So the scrotum is the layer that covers the testes. So scrotum, and inside here we would have the testes. Dissection of a testes, if we actually removed a testicle out of the scrotum, we'd be able to see two coatings or layers. That is called a tunica, and the tunica vaginalis is the more exterior one of the two. Let me go back. I thought I was on pen, so let me go back to pen. So tunica vaginalis, if I could draw, it would be right there. And tunica albuginea then is the sort of inner lining here, is tunica albuginea. Now, epididymis. So this is, in the testes is the manufacturing of sperm. So this sperm is manufactured here. It travels out to this little cap region. It's called the epididymis. Notice if we followed it along, it would continue on through here, the tail of the epididymis, then come up here, and then move off to the spermatic cord. So this sort of cap-like structure that looks like it's a cap over the testicle is the epididymis. And as it comes down here, you have this cord then that's going to bring the sperm over to the spermatic cord. This duct is called either the Vas Deferens, or as it's on your list, ductus deferens. Either one of those is correct. And the spermatic cord then, notice, is all of it. It's going to include an artery, it's going to include all these veins, it's going to include the ductus deferens. All of them put together is going to be the spermatic cord. Within that spermatic cord, if you could dissect it out, you would have a spermatic artery. There it is. Here they're calling it testicular artery. We're going to call it spermatic artery. And the spermatic vein. So there'll be a spermatic vein in there also, not really visible on this very well. And that's all we can see on this picture. I do want to, next you'll have Pempeniform Plexus, and this is just a network of veins here, which is going to warm up this blood from the testicular artery. So the Pempeniform Plexus is all this network of veins in the area. But let's go to prostate gland. Oh, just one more picture here. If you had this little covering again on the testicle, is the epididymis, and then body of epididymis, tail of epididymis, and then it's going to become the vas or the ductus deferens. Okay, prostate gland. So the prostate gland is in the region of the urethra in males, and it grows sort of around the urethra here at the base of the bladder, and it's going to produce, so sperm will be within the urethra or ejected through the urethra, and this gland here is making semen. So that semen is going to be added to the urethra along with the sperm that's coming to the urethra. So in this diagram, you can see this is how it should work in relationship to the bladder. You have urine that's coming down the urethra here, and there's plenty of space. However, in aging males, there can be an enlargement of the prostate gland, which would push on the urethra and constrain that passage. Okay, so that's a common problem. It's not necessarily cancer, it's just the enlargement of the prostate gland. In this diagram, then there is the prepuce, which is just another name for the foreskin on the penis, and this is just showing it retracted. This is yet another diagram that will also show you the Pempeniform Plexus, which is on your list. So the Pempeniform Plexus here, these veins, the penis is sort of ghosted out here, and the seminal vesicle that then is attached onto the prostate gland. So from the prostate, semen will come down the urethra. So let's follow that. So if it was manufactured here in the epididymis or within the testes, come up towards the epididymis, let's follow that sperm cell. The sperm cells, you follow it along here. It's coming into this region of the prostate where it's going to join out with semen. Now we have both semen and those cells, and together then they will join and enter the urethra. Okay, I think that might be the last one. Yeah, let's end it there. Thanks for listening.